I like my ballpoints. Hello, wonderful people, places. Adam Snowflake here, and that might seem like a shock to you because it was me on testosterone in a very boy juice kind of way with long hair, and I looked very different on T. So that's all you need to know. I was on testosterone. I leave the group transgender now because I've had a taste of everything that it could be, and I leave being a vegan, and I leave being Aryan, and I keep the group Yahoo that comes out of it with it not censored in most time periods what I really said there, but it's censored on Vidme, and it's supposed to be because the group is still hated right now. That is of my tattoo on my ankle. Because I realized that um, during this abduction, it's over me being Adam Snowflake. We've now come full circle for the Adam Snowflake arc. People who watch the arcs that are my playlist are really amusing to me because I have to have this fade away now. It's like between getting it touched up or letting it fade because tattoos fade off the skin, and it's going to be faded because all tattoos are temporary. I'm going to let the spear move, and then I'm going to get a swastika tattoo on my ankle. So I'm like Asian and East Asian, and we see it as a symbol of peace. It doesn't have that hateful history in our time period or in Germany, and I'm from the Man at High Castle universe, so the history is, I don't really think it's hateful. I just really want it destigmatized at my house before I get that tattoo. So here's what is gonna be. I'm gonna let Adam Snowflake pass away with the time period and be remembered by historical photos of me on T and look very different. I had my chest removed, and as a result, even though it still really hurts from breast cancer to wear a shirt right now, I kind of am just letting this persona that talked like this and that presented like this as Luke Castetlla go away for a second and be remembered as the character that that was, because I have multiple personality disorder, and I think the personality chose a bucket. I think he chose anorexia. I think he was obsessed with anorexia. I think he was celibate, and I cannot be, even though I still do not have sex in this time period. I think he would prefer, if he's transgender, to see a female bottom, and I moved past it. And I think all of this was who I used to be until the time period changed and everything changed, and I got better. And so the history of the pain and trauma identity of that Emrata is not that I don't leave my Emratas. It's kind of that it will stay with the split personality that all of that was who was Adam Snowflake. I still accepted before faking my death as a Kron's locket a Medal of Honor from Azazel's community that Azazel told me he could never accept, that standardized the historical worships of Jesus over my tomb and burial, so as whoever I stay, Jesus can stay that ancestral link to John the Baptist in my family tree, and I can still be like, oh, Jesus. But you know, the thing about Adam Snowflake is that as him, I was a Jesus freak who was anti gay because they're a terrorist group that was very real in my time period. I was a gay ally despite this, but oh my god, did I know they were terrorists when nobody else did. I was into Homestuck fandom as a straight white male, and it's before it had any political connotations or meanings. And I was really into the Homestuck Hesse comic because I wrote the source material. He basically plagiarized for entire passages, which is okay because it's an adaptation. And like the history of my whistle tick is that I don't know what my Tourette's will be or become, as Toby is one of my future aliases. But as YouTuber Brain Cake, this was my original face, and that's why this is on the video. And it aged into that face on testosterone, which will be all that's remembered of the username. I really wanted to stay Adam Snowflake forever. I don't have an original name or persona, and he was so close to that, but he would cry here. about it, and he can't fake cry, and neither can I, but it seemed like the perfect aliases to what I leave behind. And as a result, if I am to stay immortal, which I am, and my mom is to stay immortal, we have to go into missing persons again soon, which we're usually in and weren't here because I was abducted. I don't know, like, remember dying in that abduction, and he didn't. And I am so happy that we blame Eric Coetting, who really attempted a murder on me and killed my Arkin's case. He really killed a version of an extra body I had. Eric Coetting really was my murderer. And I really remember that. And Eric Coetting really did away with me because I had a magical opinion on the truth of women in Magi that he didn't like. Women are not allowed in Magi unless it's strawberry milk tea or Charmander's cauldron because it's a slave race to identify as a woman in a really creepy, bigoted, pucket way that's forbidden in magic. It's forbidden in Magi. It's forbidden in Charmander's Cauldron. And seeing that opinion that I thought women shouldn't have magic, which is a male-only practice that would steal bodies if you were a woman because it's about sharing a spark, and you all have to share it down there, and the fact that you would suddenly bring the wrong version of down there, under magic, it would just rape all the men there. And women had a universal vote in the time period, and they chose not to deal with it when they were the only female gender of time period. Because the old world had the ability to do that kind of thing when it was really small. And they were the only people practicing magic. So it was universal as the vote. And so, no, I just don't think women should have magic. I do think females and Aubrey should have magic powers, and I think that that is the version Magi in Strawberry Milk Tea and Cauldron Charmander for most of the group women, which I invented so they could have Magi, because I think they should have Magi. They just shouldn't have the male-only sex rape practice magic, because in that practice, if it's all about Dioynsus, they're going to be instant rapists the second they touch me. And it's going to be that because it's sharing everything when you touch each other in that system. And it was still a vote their group made at the time period not to be a part of it historically. Women voted to not to be feminist only. Feminists and leftists are feminization circles. Their groups voted that historically and weren't allowed to leave. I've never been a leftist. I'm a conservative, I'm a Christian, and I'm a Republican in this time period where I'm thinking about leaving Republican right now. But oh my god, am I never going to leave conservative? And I'm identifying as an SJW, as progressives. So the history is I'm also ex-punk, and I'm also I dressed punk that whole time period. Rebel is what I am, and Rebel died. Skinhead is what I am, and Skinhead died. And they're not the groups of Nazis that everyone assumes. It's more like loving pit bulls and border critter before the Yerk stole it. And the good version of Yerk before it went down that rabbit hole and became what YouTube was known for. So yeah, as you can see, I have my old features back with my older face back. But oh my god, did I still have a button nose and rosebud lips as Adam Snowflake. I was blonde hair, blue-eyed, Aryan obsessed. I was a closeted Nazi in a way that people don't assume of me now for very good reason, and in a way that, while never bigoted, was still towards the end of Galatée before the group had been fully redeemed outside of private circles as a right-wingers group. And I was a right-winger Christian Jesus freak as Adam Snowflake, and I don't think I was ever bigoted as a gay ally that I was. I just think if it ended when the character ended being nice to gay because it's a terrorism group, and being nice to ISIS because it's a terrorism group, or being nice to Wicca because it's a terrorism group, and sympathizing with Piglet because it's a terrorism group. It's not that I don't like who Adam Snowflake was in his politics, because he was a total SJW in retrospect, but he was never a Jewish sim like Andrew Hussey. It's just kind of, and I was never Andrew Hussey, by the way. He just plagiarized a lot of my works abducted from mspaintabductions.com, sends them into idols, and he counts as writing Homesick the webcomic as a result, not me, even though I still use the same art and panels and imagery for a very different comic called Homebound. The history of everything stolen when Adam Snowflake made Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was Adam Snowflake. I now had to leave in a will to myself as Luke Castetlla to run. Because honestly, even though I have multiple legal names, it's weird I keep leaving myself stuff in a will. It's weird that it ends on Zag's bag of fun things. But Adam Snowflake actually knew Felix and Zag, and Luke Castetlla never will because they really fucking hated his guts as Luke. And they would have been my enemies the whole time. And I still was never Alexian Texian Smith, their chosen boyfriend that they did have that with, and that I rejected having that with. So my best two friends were shot, and then my third best friend, Morgan Hoffman, ran away to ogre and become obese. And while I don't look down on fat body types, the way he had a fetish for ogering, which is the ginormous plus size, like taking up the whole couch, like basically naked because you can't afford a clothing size, ginormous, like this is the couch, this is the person, in a way that he tried to screw me over into, like touching my mental health records and stuff. He just, because I have a whistle tick right now, was a really big piece of shit that I'm happy I don't know. And in the end, he made me out to be an asshole to everyone who he knew when he was consistently raping and harassing me. And I was off a Cheshire Cat seat, and he kept insisting, well, you've been on Cheshire Cat seats before, so it's fine for me to break into your house to rape you, in like a dramatic way where I lived on my own and couldn't report it to Miss Herwell, who I was living with. So I changed my name over text, and I now call my mom to change my name. And we see how this goes. And we say goodbye to Adam here. If she picks up. No, she didn't pick up. But the history is, regardless, I'm drinking peace tea, and I know Stoner will define me as Luke because I had an interject out of order. But Axo Rose will be remembered as Adam Snowflake, the early versions that no one cared about. Because, like, the history is if I have to say goodbye to that, and Nazi is a dead name on most people's languages, and I spoke Latin and Japanese in a broken Ching Chong way of the monarchy, in a way that I almost had a Sama pronoun several times, and I'm so happy I escaped that, but I was stuck as Adam Snowflake as a Chan, because it was before the new pronouns were invented for Japanese, and I know Kun becomes all of that. It wasn't available in the time period for royalty that Adam Snowflake lived. So he was permanently Chan to most people and not a woman. And that is just like a big tragedy as Japanese in like a dramatic way. I decided this kind of thing would define me in the end. And it's not even an advertisement. I just think for whatever reason, if it's stoner drugs on the market I can easily just buy without an ID or card, that's going to define me as the horror artist that Luke Castetlla becomes. Because towards the start of the New Year Neverland, I decided I'd be a horror artist the whole time period. And it's just kind of what stayed, where I would keep my old art that Junji Ito used to plagiarize. So, no, if you like that art, you like Adam Ito. You don't like Junji Ito. You like Luke Castetlla. You don't like Junji Ito, who did Pokemon Cryptozoology and a worship style based off of it. Like Junji Ito's art, you worship through it. The history is I've just never been Junji Ito with that history, and I just keep thinking now that my face has gone back to normal, oh my god, he is so ugly as me. Anyways, that's everything. See you.